All right, ready, Crystal? Good morning. It is 10:11 on a Tuesday, and I'm very excited. We're going to be talking about martial arts, the premier martial arts family. We have Grandmaster Al Garza in studio. We got Master Cody Garza in studio. I'm going to switch us over onto the FM. If you're watching, feel free to share this video out. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, or have ever even wondered what it'd be like to be trained by Grandmaster Al Garza or any kind of the martial arts, this is your opportunity to ask questions and get involved. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's 10:11. It's 10:11 on a Tuesday morning. We were talking health and nutrition. Now we're going to be talking about activity and getting healthy, getting active, getting in shape, and becoming what's the term you always use, Grandmaster Garza? You are a sheepdog.
Sheepdog in training, never wolves.
Never wolves. Can you share a little bit about yourself and where you have some locations and what the vision is for Premier Martial Arts?
Be happy to. I live in Dickinson, and this is where I grew up, was in Dickinson. Graduated from Dickinson High School, opened my first school in 1976 there in Dickinson. And now we have a location in Dickinson, one in League City, and one in Pearland. And our mission is to help people reach their goals, physical goals, self-defense goals, teach them how to be sheepdog and how to train the sheepdog, military, law enforcement, women, single moms. We have a heart to help everybody be fit. When we say fit, we say mental, physical, spiritual, social, emotional fitness, and martial arts is our platform. We have 4 loves. We love the Lord, Jesus Christ, as our Lord and Savior. We love all people. We love ourselves, and we love the platform that God's given us to help people with.
All right. So Crystal is here in studio, and she was helping out with some of the, getting everybody involved. She's helping out with the switching, and she had a question about different kinds of the arts that's offered. Crystal, do you have a question?
Yes, I have lots of questions. So this whole concept of having like a martial arts studio that teaches like multiple different types of martial arts is fascinating to me, because I've mostly only seen like places that specialize in one individual style. So I guess my first question is, how many different styles of martial arts have you studied and do y'all offer at Premier Martial Arts?
It's a great question, Crystal. I am ranked as a 10th degree in Premier International, which is a mixed martial arts. And I have a 4th degree in the Filipino art of stick fighting. And I have a 2nd degree in Krav Maga, which is an Israeli form of self-defense. And I'm a 2nd degree in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. And I'm a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And at our school, we offer the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is one of the programs, but our main program is Premier International. The Al Garza brand of it has a mixture of those arts in it. And so our students come up usually to get a black belt in the Premier Martial Arts, Al Garza's brand, and the Premier International brand. And many of them also training in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the Krav Maga. Have cross kick, not cross-fit, but cross kick. That's cross training with striking arts of martial arts for fitness and self-defense as well.
So you are very trained all across the board, it seems. And then we got Master Cody Garza here in studio. What's up, Cody?
How's it going, man?
You doing good?
I'm doing great. Sorry, I was zoning my phone there, getting it shared out.
Yeah. How, what are you trained in? Because you grew up in this. Mm-hmm. What have you taken and trained in and been a part of?
So obviously I've been doing, before it was Premier Martial Arts, we've always had a mix of a lot of different styles. One thing that's awesome about our school is that whenever my dad trains in something, whether it's kickboxing or Krav Maga, he's always bringing it back to the school and getting better and growing and evolving with the martial arts. It's always changing, always growing. So, started off with Taekwondo whenever I was a kid, was kind of our core, with a little bit of boxing, and then it kind of evolved. Did a lot of kickboxing. I did a little bit of point fighting. Then I did some kickboxing, competed in that a little bit. Then I got a little bit into the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then did some MMA training. Had a couple MMA fights, and now I train mostly in just our core curriculum, which is the karate, kickboxing, and Krav Maga, and then obviously the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as you saw this morning.
Yeah.
We were doing some of that. So,
how old were you when you started?
2 3/4.
2 3/4. So you're 2 years old, and So I have a daughter that's 2. She's probably 2 3/4, and I just imagine, my daughter going in, and she'd probably be okay and hold her own. But at that age, what's the goal? When you have someone 2 years old, just to get them introduced to be around it, being comfortable.
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, my kids both started whenever they were right around that age, and so for that age, it's really about learning to follow instruction. It's a lot learning respect. It's about learning a little bit of discipline. You do the martial arts, you do punches and kicks, and they have fun, being ninjas at that age. They don't really care to learn it, and they don't care about the art of the martial arts as much as they just like punching and kicking and doing obstacle courses and agility training and anything like that they can do to keep their interest and have fun and build some coordination and teach them some discipline at the same time.
One thing that I've noticed since going to Premier Martial Arts for over a year, my son Kellen, he's 7 years old. I guess he was 5 whenever he started, but then he turned 6, and then the way the birthdays fall is that a lot of the parents that have kids go there may train as well in a different art, or it's a big family. It's a lot that it's a family there. That's what I've noticed. Is that's on purpose, I assume, or it just kind of happened?
The culture of we say it's one family, one team, one fight, abiding in Christ. And there's a lot of meaning in that. So when I have time to explain that to people, I do. But the main thing is that, we're born into a family, and we choose to be a team, right? So we work together as a team and do some great things. And yes, we do have entire families that train all the way to black belt and beyond black belt, because after black belt, there's degrees of black belt. And so we have a lot of entire families. In this last year's graduation, we had at least 10 solid families of multiple people in the family that were testing for black belt levels all the way up to 3rd degree black belt.
I feel like it makes it easier whenever an entire family is involved, schedule-wise, just everything. You just know, like, hey, we're training. This is what we do.
I think in many ways there's a unity that comes home, that everybody understands what everybody else is going through, so that really helps a lot.
Yeah.
It definitely does.
Yes. And so my son, I had a white belt. So I shared this earlier, just like in passing in a comment right before the stream ended. So yesterday I went and took a class. Is it Krav Maga, right?
Krav Maga. Mm-hmm.
And then this morning I went and took a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class in Leak City. So I had a great time, but I had a white belt to hold the G shut that I borrowed from Cody, which thank you, by the way, because I didn't know. I was texting him last night, and I was like, "Are glasses allowed? What's the deal? What do I do? What do I wear? I don't know anything, but I want to show up and it's like, well, he's wearing the wrong thing, and he brought gloves, and he doesn't need this, so he said, just show up, I got you covered. And I asked about my glasses. He's like, yeah, that won't work.
No.
So I had to bust out the contacts, this morning, and I had a great time. I feel good, but I had the white belt, right? And he was like, hey, hang on to that. So in the car this morning, I had my son taking him to school, and I was like, hey, Kellen, look what I got. And I held up the white belt, and he was like, you have a white? He's like, I'm a higher belt than you? He's like, but you're older than me, and you're my dad. And he was going down this whole thing. I was like, okay, be nice. Like, all right. But it was a really cool feeling to be able to bond with my son over martial arts, and just being able to talk and share about the importance of it. But it was really cool. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think you'll see a lot of that as y'all do more together there, and you'll just have that common thing to discuss and talk about and train at home and stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah. Actually, because the Krav Maga, can you explain the idea? What is Krav Maga? What is the purpose?
Well, Krav Maga is the Israeli form of self-defense. The goal of Krav Maga is, number one, to teach something that can be used right away and applied in a self-defense situation right away. It is gross motor skills. It's principles and concepts that are easy to learn and to apply quickly. Though the longer you train, the bit more effective you're going to be. It's all fitness, it's fighting, it's self-defense, and it's developing a spirit of character and of excellence.
Mm-hmm. And so with my son, I was telling him that I learned, if somebody has you in like this or that, like how to break out. And I was like, here, grab my wrist. I said, Kellen, grab my wrist. He was like, no, you grab my wrist. And so it was like a showdown because some of those things are things that he's learned as well. So if someone gets him in a headlock, he knows, how to get him out. Mm-hmm. I've seen him practice it. I've actually practiced it with him before at home, just because I saw him do it, and it's just fun to do. So it was a little standoff last night. I was like, grab my wrist, Kellen, see what happens. He was like, no, you grab mine. But it was really cool.
Well, they actually learn the moderate version of the Krav Maga for the children too. We try to not involve them in as much of the extreme like the adults do, because the adults are trained to deal with extreme situations. And sometimes some of the violent situations of today, the only way to deal with them is with violence.
Yeah.
And that is what Krav Maga prepares a person to do.
Who is that for? Like, who would be a good candidate to take that class?
Well, we have law enforcement, military. We have adults, male and female. We have teenagers, more and more teenagers that are enjoying it at our school. For a while there, it was mainly adults and of all ages. My oldest student is 86, as you saw. Gene was in your class yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing man. Just all ages below that.
Yeah,
So I would say anyone who is interested in learning self-defense, learning how to deal with today's crime, learning how to be calm and how to be effective, who might be protecting their family as well.
yeah. That's a goal of mine, to be, 86, 90 years old and still be able to be active. And if I want to do something, just go and do it, And I mean, that's the key, right? Just not stopping, just sticking with it.
You keep moving and always, manage it's not about competition. It's not about comparing yourself to anybody else. It's about knowing your strengths and weaknesses and never stop learning.
Wow.
We say a black belt is a white belt that never quit. We say a master is a black belt that never quit, and a grandmaster is a master that never quit.
Mm-hmm.
I started in 1973, and I've never quit.
Yeah. And Cody, you've been doing this since you're 2 years old.
Right.
And now there's a facility in Pearland. And has that kind of become your current baby? I guess I know you're involved with everything as well, but how is that going? Because it's the newest school.
It is the newest school. It's going really good. So, I started that off. I think last time I was here, I was probably the main instructor over there. So we've actually
made the announcement here. Remember?
You made the announcement here. I wasn't on there. I was actually at home that day, if you remember, and I was sitting I think I was showering or something. It was playing on the radio.
Pearland.
This was a total surprise. Nobody was supposed to know. We were still kind of keeping on locks, and all of a sudden y'all had something. It was like, special announcement. And I was like, what? And he goes, Pearland, we're coming to Pearland. I was like, okay, I guess we're announcing it.
Well, I'm transparent like that.
I know you are. So anyways, yeah, so that was mine. I ran it for a while, and then I'm still there a lot, but actually brought over Scott McFerrin from our Dickinson location as the manager over there. He's doing a great job, and Tommy is one of his assistants. And so I still office out of there a lot, and I get on the mat sometimes, but they run the school pretty much now.
Yeah.
They got it done really well. So
what part of town do you live on?
I live right by our Lake City location, so I drive to Pearland almost every day.
What time do you have to wake up to be at the 5 o'clock Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class?
Oh, well, we don't have one over there.
Oh, okay.
We don't have that class over there, so we don't have to go out there till in the afternoon. We don't open up there until about 2.
Okay.
So yeah, we're good.
I gotcha.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Yeah, but I was talking to Crystal this morning, and I was like, man, so 5 a.m., I was like, what time? And I don't know how the traffic is. One thing that I noticed, and I saw y'all post about it at the League City spot, that parking lot with a Starbucks coming in was a temporary, I don't want to call it a nightmare, but a temporary, you got to plan for it, setback.
Yeah.
It was definitely hard on us there for a little while.
Yeah, but what's going on right now? Because I think that it's cleared and done.
We're excited about Starbucks coming in now.
Yeah, now it'll be an asset.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
So I mean, the parking is all better. You saw today they have all the new stripes, a new parking lot in the front, and so we've got probably, like I said in that post that you probably read, we have better parking than we ever had before now. So we're pretty excited about it. Starbucks should open up right after Christmas. They're doing landscaping all this week. They said they're going to be done on Friday. We'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That strip right there, there's a lot of businesses that I've been to, before, and it's a bunch of good people that own it.
It's the KHEA Plaza, wasn't it?
KHEA Plaza. We got the cease and desist, so we can't really say. Not we didn't. Just kidding. We're not really allowed to say that anymore. But yeah, there's a lot going on over there, and now Starbucks. Welcome to KHEA Plaza.
That's right. Hey,
yes, moving on up.
I guess they came there because they heard that I was KHEA. They wanted to be connected with you guys.
Yeah. So Cody, how long have you been training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Because are you a purple belt?
I'm a purple belt. Yes, sir. And I've been. We did it for a while, kind of informally for a while there, and then formally belting and training for. Man, I don't know, 8 or so years, maybe a little bit more.
Are the colors different than in
They are.
typical, martial arts?
The order
Yes,
of
sir.
them is.
Yeah,
So what's the order for that?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu goes white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt.
Okay, so there's less, but like how long does it take? It would take years to kind of level up
Yes, sir.
in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Slower pace.
Okay.
Sure.
And how do you describe that? If somebody has never heard of that before, as Krav Maga is, you're kind of self-defense and you're not really taking the other person into consideration. When you're training you are, but it's you can use it. How would you describe Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, for one, it's more of a sport, whereas Krav Maga it's an activity you can do, but as far as the training is for street self-defense, and there's not like so much competitions and stuff as there would be for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You're training a sport where you can compete. You saw today, you get there and you grapple with each other and what's called sparring or grappling. And so you're learning these different submissions and these different holds, and then you just about every class or sparring and grappling with other people, you can go to tournaments and compete with it and stuff. So it's a way that you can use it without injuring anybody as long as you tap, on time. Then everybody lets go and stops. So there's tournaments and competition you can do if you have that desire to compete. Maybe you're an old wrestler, or maybe you were a football player and you have that desire to be competitive. It's a good option for that. Where you could get out and compete in tournaments or compete with your friends.
There was some advice that Grandmaster Garza gave me. He said, tap early, tap often.
Right.
Because especially as a beginner, you're not competing, you're competing, you're training, you're learning. Mm-hmm. What's the concept behind that?
Well, you need to be safe first. And, when I say that, I mean, don't go in there competing and comparing yourself to anybody else. Go in there to learn. And as you learn, if you have a competitive spirit, then that opportunity will come where it'll be clear that that's what you're doing is competing.
So don't go in there trying to be Nate Diaz. Pretty much.
Not yet.
Second class.
Not yet.
That's at least your second or third class.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
my saying for everybody right now is my ego is not my amigo.
Yeah.
So we have to hang that ego at the door to learn and be in the right environment.
When I was on the mat this morning, that kept going through my head. Tap early, tap often. There was times I'm pretty sure I tapped where I wasn't even in a hold or anything at all. But I felt like, and I didn't realize that, but you use the clothing, the article becomes a part of the technique and everything.
Well, let me just say a couple of things about that. Number one is there is gi, and then there's no gi. And then there's the sport, and then there's also the self-defense aspect of it. So we're focusing more on the sport right in there with gi, that 5 a.m. class.
Yeah.
And like in Krav Maga, there is some of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that I incorporate into that on a self-defense with a self-defense emphasis. Mm-hmm. But the obvious is that, the sport you don't do. Everything that you're not allowed to do in the sport is what you want to do in the Krav Maga.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even like poke the eyes, like jab.
And just strikes and things like that.
Yeah. There was a point where I was with one of the instructors this morning and I was pushing his face down on the mat, like almost as hard as I could. And I was like, is this okay? It's like an awkward thing. Like, am I allowed to do this? I was like, what's the rule? He was like, yeah, just don't strike. You can push it in there. I was like, okay.
Pressure's good in certain places.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it's a weird concept. It being my first class, I've never, I've wrestled with my friends, but I'm not trying to hurt them, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody there, but it's like, I'm trying to choke you out. Like right. I'm trying to get you to the point where you're saying, you're tapping, on me or on you, and I hear it. It's different. How long does it, and y'all have been doing this your entire lives, but how long before I kind of get used to that, being like, I don't want, not that I could, even if I wanted to, but it's just like it's a weird thing. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. I think probably every person's different on when they get used to that concept, but the first thing you got to get used to is just that closeness with somebody else, right? So sometimes that's a little awkward in the beginning when you're doing things like the guard and stuff, but then you start getting used to that and it's not a big deal. And then as far as submissions, just the more you learn them, usually we'll drill a lot of submission where you, like we did today, when you're working on the arm bar, working on that cross choke, you just start learning them and working them more and more, and you realize you're not really hurting them. You're just working with them like they're what's called an uke. They're your partner, and they're helping you learn. And then whenever you're rolling, you just do the same thing, and then you just slowly get it, and they tap and reset and slap bump and go again. It's just it's a friendly competition thing. Just like sports would be in high school.
Who was the main instructor this morning?
Armando.
Okay, because whenever I was, I guess, grappling or rolling on the mat with him, there was a point he was like, that was quick, wasn't it? I was like, yeah. He's like, came up quick like a paper cut. Like, I didn't even know. I was like, getting triggered all of a sudden. I was like, I just tapped out. And my wife, who was watching, good morning, she said, tell him that again, Grandmaster Garza. I think about the tap early, tap often, because that's something she was saying. She was like, I don't know if I want you to do that. I was like, why? And she's known that I've been interested in this stuff for as long as I have been. But she's like concerned. You know, I've never done anything like this.
Right.
Well, I think she can be at peace. So we have a culture of safety. And we want to be safe, and then we make it as real as we can. I mean, we produce champions, and we help people who do self-defense or protection for a living. You know, like I said, we call them sheepdog, but they're police officers, military people, security people, and then adults. I mean, we grow into these sheepdog positions as parents and as the adult on call.
Speaking of champions and growing champions, I know y'all have Jake, who y'all have a sparring class. Did y'all have that sparring class this morning? What's going on with Jake?
We did. We trained him this morning. He's up to defend his title on February 23rd. It's a Sunday at 3 o'clock, and we have another one of our fighters that's going to be on the same card. He'll be a 155-pounder going for a title.
Yeah, so
And those are amateur MMA titles.
Yeah, with Fury, which I've been to,
Right.
and those are awesome. That was my first taste of MMA, like in person. I had always seen it on like if it's at the restaurant, like a highlights, and I kind of looked up at it to be 100% transparent. I was like, I'm not into that. You know, that's what I always thought. And then I realized when I saw it in person, I'm into this. This is awesome. Just being up close. There's an energy in the building. The competition. It's a lot of fun just to be around. You feel it.
Master Cody and I, we look at it from a professional standpoint. Plus, we both love the art. I mean, so we get to see how it's applied, and we train our people best we can. We have some really good, well-rounded instructors overall between our team. We can get somebody ready.
Yeah, and Jake, he's a heavyweight, right?
Right, he's the heavyweight champion right now for
Fury.
amateur,
Yeah,
for
so
Fury.
what's his game plan, going into this next fight?
Well, we'd have to kill you if we told you.
Never mind.
We're going to keep that top secret, but we're going to be ready.
Okay. Because
we're excited about defending the title.
He's gone the distance. He's done knockouts within, a
First,
minute.
Right. His first two fights were a 33-second knockout and a 39-second knockout. And then he went a 3-rounder, went the distance, got a unanimous decision. Then he went a 5-rounder and got a decision.
So just being ready for anything. If you go into a sport like that, you got to be ready for anything that comes at you. I mean, even if it's not a sport, like with Krav Maga, self-defense, I think about my wife, she's pregnant right now, and we're having a boy in March. And so we're really excited about it. But I would try and bring her in to do some of that stuff to be able to defend herself.
I highly recommend for the whole family. I mean, crime today is just, it's senseless, and it doesn't make sense. But we need to be ready for anything. We need to. 90% of self-defense is the mental aspects of it. We teach all that, and then we teach that 10% is when you do everything you can to avoid it, and you still wind up in that situation. You got to know how to fight, and you got to fight to get out of there. It's fight or flight, but sometimes you can't fight. If you've got a family there with you, you can't just take off. You've got to fight.
Yeah.
You choose to fight to protect your family.
And that's something y'all talk about with the kids. When I watch my son train, it's like, hey, back off. Like, y'all even tell them that before, like, back off. Like, if somebody comes up to you, but if they keep coming at you, then you got to diffuse and then back off and get out.
Right. The body language says whether you're the aggressor or not, too. So we're defending ourselves even that way by thinking about it from that standpoint. So we don't want to be in the fighting position like you're the aggressor, because you're defending yourself.
Yeah.
Even though the mindset might be attack the attacker. That's what the Krav mindset is. It's not a passive self-defense.
So, okay, speaking of the Krav Maga yesterday, I had showed Crystal this, but my elbows, which I feel like are deadly weapons now after that training.
Nice.
My elbows did take probably more damage than the bag.
Oh, did you skin them up?
Yeah, I skinned them up really good, and but I feel good. I feel good. I got in the shower and I was like, that burns. And then it went away, but I was like, well, that's effective, and I learned some really cool stuff. So there is different striking points that you mentioned. Can you go through? Is there 8? How many are there?
Well, there's combatives is what we're talking about. And
okay.
We teach 7 weapons that you were born with, that were with you all the time. And we teach you all the different techniques. So the elbows, we basically, the basic is 7 elbows that we worked on.
Yes.
That's what you worked on yesterday.
7 elbows. Yeah, I think
7 different angles of attack with them.
That's cool. But then there was also different tools you
Then
can
the
use.
7
weapons. Yeah.
Like your head,
Head.
your shoulder, your elbows.
Good student.
Yeah,
Keep going.
you said
In your hands.
your hands, your hips, your knees, and your feet.
Right. And
Yeah.
then I like to say, the more you train, the more it's like the 8th is synergizing all those because your whole
Yeah.
body is the weapon.
But do you have a favorite? Like if you had
The one that's they're open for is my favorite.
whichever one is
Yeah.
open, and you have to be,
Yeah.
I mean, is equally good or able to use and effective
You want
with
to
any
be
of them.
well-rounded and be sharp with it.
I think
But, gross motor skills, those are gross motor skills. There's not as much detail involved in that. Under stress, people with fine details, we tend to fumble things up, and it's easy to get injure yourself. But with the elbows, it's gross motor skills. It's easy to learn. It's effective. It's at close range. It's where a lot of action like that might take place. So
yeah.
it's very good.
There was a moment yesterday where you said, "Hey, breathe out," and I didn't know, but you used your shoulder and you went like right there, and I was like, because I was thinking, I was like, "What's the shoulder gonna do?" And then you like did, and I was like, "Okay, that's what it does." It made me lose my breath, and you even told me, to breathe out. So I was like, but it's very effective.
And all of them can be used not only for striking, but also as foundation and support, leverage, and is used a lot on them too. So as you go along, you'll see different ways to use it.
Okay.
Situations. Not every situation is extreme. Some are moderate. So we have to have that sense of control and that sense of awareness of how to de-escalate when we need to, and how to escalate when we need to.
Yeah. Is that the name of, I guess I'm going to call it the game, but just control? Like even in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, or if you are like on the street and someone comes up to you, just kind of being in control of the situation?
Most definitely. I mean, you're controlling multiple things. First, your awareness of the entire 360 degrees of where you're at, your whole space. We say keep your head on a swivel. You're controlling distance, controlling your emotions, and you just, all of that is definitely self-control.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fruit of the spirit, my friend.
Yes. Yes. So let me see. Right now it's 10:38. This is KHEARadio.com, 99.5 FM. I'm Gardy. I'm talking to Grandmaster Al Garza and Master Cody Garza. I'm going to ask y'all a question. I want to know, for each of you, what's your favorite martial arts related film, TV show, anything that's been in popular or not popular culture? Like, what's your favorite thing that you've ever been able to watch, or been like, okay, this is the real deal, or I relate to that character? Is there anything? Do y'all have time to watch that kind of stuff?
Well, for me, Bruce Lee was my inspiration. So I saw Enter the Dragon was one of my favorites. Chuck Norris was second, and so some of the Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee movies were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Those were back in the day.
What about you, Cody?
For me, back in the day, there was a movie called Surf Ninjas.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Oh, yeah. Surf
yeah.
Ninjas.
Surf Ninjas was awesome. That was one of my favorites growing up.
Was that Ernie Reyes?
Yeah, Ernie Reyes Jr. was in that one. So we were kind of bigger fans of it because he came over to some seminars and stuff. So he actually, we used to always tell people when we watched it, that dude slept in my sister's bed. Because my sister came and slept in our room, and he had her in those couple nights. And so we're like, dude, he stayed at my house. So that was always a cool one for us, Surf Ninjas.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like we need a good martial arts film. Maybe they're out there and I just haven't seen them, but I think of like the Karate Kid.
Right.
Like those ones that got people
Those were good.
in the acting
business.
in the backyard and doing martial arts on their siblings and sisters and
even the more recent one with Jaden Smith, I think it was in it. That one,
Yeah.
a lot of people came to martial arts from that, which is good for us, So,
yeah.
Of course, you got Ninja Turtles and all that. We have a big Leonardo suit, and when we do a booth or something like that, we'll have somebody put it on, and man, that thing's like a magnet for kids. They just see it and they're like, oh, I wanted a picture of Leonardo.
Who normally wears it? Is there one person that's like, you're the best Leonardo?
It just depends. Actually,
Whoever's available.
yeah, it's whoever's available. And it depends on that. We did it at the League City Music Fest. That was like, I don't even know how hot it was out there. It had to have been in the 80s or 90s, and that suit is warm.
I
and
bet.
Man, it was hot for whoever was in it. But I just did it recently at a booth in Pearland, and had one of my students, this 13-year-old boy, did it. He was one of the best ones I've ever had. He was over there dancing and stuff. All the kids were all about it.
Can you see to be able to do like some moves in there?
You can. So if I was looking at you like this, I could see like down there because there's this little slit right here. So the bad thing is, they'll take pictures and they're like, all right, smile, and they'll be going like this. Now I can see the camera, but then you see their neck. So I was constantly being like, Brendan, look down. Brendan, look down. So he would look down and it would look right.
You almost can't do moves because if you can't see like your surroundings, so you can like dance and do stuff, but to be able to
Right. Yeah. Because person walking up here and you kick them or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of League City, there was the League City, like the parade and the event. It was all day, so I was out there and I saw Mr. Seth with the competition
the demo
team.
team.
Yeah, the demo team, and they did awesome. There was like individual routines and then the groups and stuff. What does that entail to get involved in that? And because they have like weapons and other stuff as well.
Right.
This is part of our leadership program. So, we have different levels of training, and our leadership program is the highest one. And those guys are, if they're interested in it, they can try out to be on the demo team. And those guys some of them are on our competition team also. Some of them are big into the XMA, which is extreme martial arts. You see them do the flips and the tricks and the fancy weapons and stuff. And so that's a whole nother level of really performance martial arts where they learn how to get out and just put on a good show. And it's really exciting for the kids that are on it, love being on it, and they build a big routine every year. You'll see it. And this Saturday, I guess you're coming to graduation?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So they'll put a big demo on. They do every 3 months. They build up to that huge demo that's maybe 3-4 minutes long, and then they also do events like that out in the community all the time.
Yeah. What kind of weapons do they have? Are they training with?
They do the bow staff, the nunchuck, the kama, the sword. Sometimes you'll see the fan, which is like the old, the fans. Those are the ones that we usually are in there. I mean, Master Falco. Have you met Master Falco?
I think I see the one. He has sideburns.
Yes. The big
I have
chops.
not shook his hand and met him, but I saw a picture and he was honored the other day. I think was that him?
Right.
Yeah, he won the Golden Greek Award for the Amateur Organization of Karate. So it's basically the best all-around player in his age group for the state of Texas.
So like, is there like different meets and competitions, or how does he get?
Yeah.
How did he get that?
It's
That's
called
really
the
cool.
AOK is the Amateur Organization of Karate, so it's a tournament circuit that he participated in all year, and he came out as a Golden Greek winner, which was best all-around player in the state, and I'm very proud of him.
Yeah,
we are very proud of him at our school. He did a lot of sacrifice to travel and do every weekend, every Saturday competitions. Probably, I don't know how many he entered, actually, maybe about 25 to 30 events.
Wow.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
A lot of energy. And he did real well.
Okay, another thing, like there's a bunch of kids, that train, and then you see like, hey, there's teenagers, and then they become staff. Whenever you are building a team, it seems like it's a family. It's a tight-knit family, and some of them will maybe stick in, hey, I'm going to college, or I'm working a job, and I'm still working there, as well. How is it building that, I guess, that culture? How do you do that?
Well, it's really amazing. First, Jesus Christ being at the center of it all, sowing the word into each person. We, when I think about our school, I think about the longevity of, we've got students that have been with us since, in fact, Master Falco walked into my school about 1978 or 79, and has continued to. We have the Doric brothers, Raymond and John Doric, Doric's Meat Packing House. Have you ever visited them?
I've heard of that. I've heard of it's a meat market, right?
He's the master of our 6 a.m. class since 1985.
Wow.
And we just have a lot of longevity that only happens with the culture that we have with growth, and it's just never-ending growing. I mean, you're building relationships. We put a high value on relationship with the Lord first, and then with each other. So there's just, I think to me, it's hard to believe. I pinch myself every now and then because there's just people that have been around forever, a long time, since the 90s, 80s, like I said, even 70s. And, I don't see that changing because I see us getting more closer as time goes on. Everybody's deeper in love with each other and what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We have some really neat visions for the future of impacting more people, meeting them where they have needs, and we're getting closer to being able to do that more and more.
Did you say that Master Falco's been with you since 1978?
He came in as a teenager in I think it was 1979. I'll have to check with him.
So what year did you open?
76 was when I opened. I was 20 years old when I opened, and been going since.
Did you have a vision for, one day I'm going to have multiple schools, I'm going to do this?
Well, when I opened my school, my goal was to give a place for the kids of Dickinson to get off the street, give them goals, teach them discipline, teach them how to be champions in tournaments. That was my heart, my goal. What I found out was when I opened my school right away, I got a lot of adults training. My first students were private students that were business owners and people in leadership roles. and then law enforcement, and so I winded up teaching a lot of adults too. And so it's the entire. We teach everything from 3 years old to, like I mentioned earlier, we have an 86-year-old. Actually, I have a 92-year-old doing my Tai Chi yoga class right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's Tai Chi yoga?
It's a combination of Tai Chi movements, which is slow, controlled movements, breathing, just a lot of self-control and gentle movements, along with yoga poses, and then I sew the Word of God into them. So it's a peace class movement.
Is there any form of martial arts that you haven't trained in? Because you picked up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think, was that earlier this year?
Well, I actually have trained in it for a long time, off and on, but we had JT Torres with us as an instructor here, and so I started from no belt or white belt with him, and so I'm a 3-stripe white belt.
Yeah.
Now, as of last week,
Awesome.
got my 3rd stripe the other day, and to me, it's about learning and applying what I learned.
Is there any new form that you haven't trained in that you said, hey, you know what? Why not? Let's pick that up.
Well, I've touched a lot of them, but there's still a lot of arts that I would like to touch on that eventually probably will. But I did some Kung Fu arts also. Tai Chi is one of the. I went to China to study Tai Chi, and if I were going to do some other things right now, I don't think there's any of them worth mentioning right at the moment. But I'm excited, and I have my hands full with what I have right now.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to just relearning everything that I've ever learned.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it, is practicing it all.
Yeah. Cody, so you have boys, right? How many boys do you have?
3.
You have 3, and how old is the youngest?
He just turned 1, like last Saturday.
Is he ready?
He's so ready. He's so ready. He's a bruiser, man.
Oh boy,
Like
he's going to be a
27,
mean
28
one
pounds,
too.
something like that. He's a little chunker. Yeah, I have a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and about to be a 4-year-old, and then him, 1-year-old.
I saw during the last graduation, I saw him crawling out on the mat. Like seriously, he was going towards like the other kids that are sitting there locked down, and he was like, I assume he was going to lock it down. Like, where's my stripe? Like I need a belt.
Yeah, that was pretty funny, actually. I don't want to call my wife out, but she was chatting with a friend, and I looked over and I saw him crawling out there, and I looked at her and I was like, what? And she was like, oh my goodness. He was just out there in the floor.
He's ready.
With the kids.
I saw him. I was like, that's good. He's ready to go. You know.
He thinks he is.
So for your kids, because your other 2 boys, they train.
They do
as
They're
well
in class. Well, they're about to start class. They have an 11 o'clock class today.
Yeah. Do they have? I mean, even at this age that they're at right now, any goals and aspirations, or like I want to be a black belt? I'm gonna reach that 10th degree black belt, or what are their thoughts?
My oldest says he wants to take over for me one day. We've talked about how one day I'm gonna take over from my dad, and he says that that's what he wants to do. But we'll see. That would be awesome, but we'll see who actually does it. So
yeah, how old is he?
He's 6.
He's 6.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he has some time.
He
to
he
figure
has
it out.
some time.
So will he be a black belt around 10?
Around 10, yes. If we do it right and he trains hard, my goal kind of is I'm going to test for my 6th degree in 2023, and so I would love it if he could pull off testing for his 1st degree that same year, so we could go through the process together.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm hoping. I think he'll be like 9 at that time.
Okay,
so that's what I'm hoping for.
With the black belt, is it called training or black belt testing?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's an entire process.
It is.
Natasha Davis, her daughter Jazz, was going through that, and
right.
I saw hey, they're up at this time, they're doing this. It's an entire thing. How long is that, and what kind of things are expected? What are they expected to do?
Well, the year of their test, we start in October. We get together once a month as a group. In October is when we first find out who is testing that year. As we get closer to it, we get together twice a month, plus their regular class schedule. And then the summer, the last 8 weeks, we have pretty much kind of like a boot camp of 8 weeks, Monday through Saturday, 3 hours in the morning, every morning, for 7 weeks. And then the 8th week, the test week, we go from, it's till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. But it's also testing, it's training, I have masters and grandmasters that are friends of the families, and they come and train us as well. And they're preparing for a performance, which is edutainment.
Yeah.
That word is, entertaining and educating at the same time. So when they perform for their friends and family, they're doing everything that they've tested on, and we kind of, like I said, edutain them, and it's really everything from humor to real deal stuff.
Yeah. So that seems like, well, it's a big accomplishment, to
huge,
to be able to meet all the requirements,
Right.
learn everything that is expected of you, and probably exceed. It takes a lot of willpower, dedication.
We do sow the word, and we start every morning with Bible study. That's the very first thing is we have a message, a devotional. We have guest speakers that come in and speak to them, sow into them.
Yeah.
Some of them are families of the ones testing who have testimonies that they want to share.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always keeping Christ in the center of it, sowing the word.
And so there's the Al Garza Premier Martial Arts family, but y'all are also a part of the Premier Martial Arts.
Premier International.
Premier International.
I'm the chief grandmaster of it, and there's approximately 100 schools around the United States, England, Canada, and it's just thriving. There's just a lot of. We have a great same culture in a larger span.
And also, y'all at times are required or get to you travel. Go overseas, or I see hey, there's a conference in Florida or a meeting, and kind of go over stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I go there to promote and to test people. That's what I do, and sometimes Master Cody can get away, and we go together.
Yeah.
We also go to Florida for symposium, which we go there for training. We just did this in October. Took,
15.
We took 15 of us, of our staff members, and we trained for 2 or 3 days, and also they go to enjoy the Disney World and all the attractions there while they're at it. It's kind of a reward and some training going together.
Yeah, I know. I've seen some pictures, and it's like, hey, stopping at Buc-ee's. You got the PMA van loaded up.
They're actually all coming here in February. We have a same kind of training, but we're hosting one at our school in February, beginning of February. We'll be hosting all those people from all over. They come into here.
That's awesome, but are people bummed out? Like, oh, man, we don't get to go on the road trip. That was part of the
Our
fun.
people?
Yeah.
Well, for us, it really is a blessing because we get to host it, and we don't have to have the time or expense of travel.
Yeah.
And that's huge. When you take 14, 15 people to Orlando and travel, everything is, we make a nice investment into it because it's worth it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it always looks like it. I remember going on even like church trips. That's what I think closely correlates. Like, we're going in the church van, we're stopping here, and then we're gonna have a blast. But obviously y'all get work done, and but
it is a big bonding experience. I mean, have you ever played spike ball before?
I haven't, but I saw it on Shark Tank, and then I've seen it at the store. Is that the one where you like hit it in the?
So one night, our first night in Florida, I had the idea to move all the furniture and put spike ball and play in our room. It's the worst decision of my life. Everybody was in our room until like 1 o'clock at night playing. So it was great. It was fun. But finally, like the third day, I was like, all right, guys, I'm trying to go to bed. It was getting late, but it's a cool bonding experience. It reminds me of the church trip type stuff, I've done that kind of stuff too. So it's very much like that. We all bond a lot on that trip. That's why it's a good investment for us to do that every year.
When we host them too, we get to be in the house, show hospitality, Texas hospitality, and there's a lot of bonding that goes in on that too when they come to us.
Also, I'm thinking of the bonding on church. Like, we wrestled. Like, I just think, and then, you take all of these people who are trained in martial arts and you put them into one building. I feel like there has to be some kind of, unofficial competitions going on. Like, who is the master of the dorm or the wing? Is there any of that ever happens?
And we do that all the time anyway. So I don't think we don't do it when we're there. We just play spike ball. We do that at home all the time. So.
Yeah, hair down.
So this morning, at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu over at the League City Premier Martial Arts, the class is at 5, so it's over 6 o'clock, and then you're like, hey, who wants to roll? I got 2 more in me, and I was like, the class is over, Cody. Like, what are you doing? You're just doing this just because, But
well, there was a couple guys there from a different school that were just coming in, and so I wanted to get another rolling with them, and my brother-in-law hadn't rolled with one of them, so I wanted him to get in there and roll with them. So sometimes we'll stay after and roll for a little bit. Sometimes we'll jet to get home. It just depends on the day.
What school were those guys from?
They're from Galveston. There's a school in Galveston that those guys are at. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And how long has your brother-in-law been doing
Just a few weeks. He's pretty fresh at it. Michael is his name. Did you roll with him at all?
I did it.
I don't think I let you. I was telling you,
Two new
you're
guys,
a
yeah.
lot safer with the advanced belts. Everybody would think, oh, I don't want to roll with that guy. He's a high belt. I want a white belt. But no, you don't. A white belt versus a white belt is they end up hurting each other. But with the advanced belts, we can work with you and stuff. So it was your first day.
Yeah, that's what Jake was saying about sparring.
Mhm.
You know, like you want to spar with somebody who has some training, know what they're doing, or instead of just someone going in there like all wild and just
Exactly.
crazy.
And they get the adrenaline dump, and they got the ego, and they got the freaking out. So with the higher belts, they're a little more under control, and they can work with you on and stuff. So
I have zero ego.
How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
You are, so you qualify for my big guy sparring class.
Yeah. So what are the requirements?
Well, 6 foot or taller, or 200 pounds or more.
See, I think I need to eat
One
more.
or both.
I was thinking about that. So the class this morning, and I was like, man, if I just had like 20 more pounds of like anything, I would be able to, because I was just like, getting moved at some places. But I was like, maybe I need to eat more. I need to eat more and just keep
I
coming.
don't know that that's the answer. But,
What's
No.
depends on what you eat, but
yeah. But
technique, it might be a better answer for you. It's just
Yeah.
to learn the techniques better and things.
I guess I'll try that
Leverage and
first.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
Or pizza and ice cream, whichever one you want to do.
You'll see me like in the Ninja Turtle costume without the mask on, just like at home. Like I'm training for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tomorrow. Let's go. No, so yeah, I've been working out at the Iron Den and lifting. I love lifting weights. I love trying to eat on a nutrition plan of some kind, and so I'm pretty good about that stuff, and I love it. And so, I'm looking at my schedule after this week, what that looks like, and I'm hoping to go to join to make that Tuesday, Thursday at 5 a.m. go and train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I can make that happen if I set out. That's what I'm going to do, move my schedule around.
Tuesday, Thursday at 5. There's a few other morning classes if you wanted to go a little later. I don't know what time you got to be here, but there's also a Saturday morning at 6 a.m. is white belt fundamentals, and then 7 a.m. is open mat. So it's a great time to get some fundamentals, and then open mat's just an hour of rolling, just to get kind of like what we did at the end where I said anybody want to stay. So open mat's just an hour straight of just people coming and rolling for an hour. It's really, you really learn a lot. It's fun.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday would be a good schedule for you.
Yeah, and I was rolling with Armando, who is the instructor of that class this morning, and he was like, okay, just get on top right here and then do this. I was like, I didn't learn anything from this run. He was like, it's all right. I was like, well, what do I try? I was like, all right, cool. So then he walked me through it and, what I was trying to do. And so I think, is it not a triangle, but with the arm lock you showed me, you said, hey, it's kind of like a figure four.
Yeah, the Americana.
But is that what's called Americana? So I was doing it from this side, and then he was like helping me like do it from the other side, which kind of like blew my mind. I was like, it's the same but opposite. Like, I know it seems so easy, but I'd been trying to get set up into there, but so he knew what I was doing, so trying to fight against me, and then it's right there on the other side.
Right.
So I don't know, it's cool. It's fun
fun
stuff.
stuff.
It is
Yeah.
very fun stuff. Is there anything else y'all would like to share while y'all are here?
I don't know.
We've touched on a lot. I mean, I know there's the 3 locations. Is there any breaking news? I can get that palette going if we're
No
trying to break
breaking
a
news.
news.
Nope. Get away from that.
Crystal, have any questions?
Crystal, you got anything?
No, I think you answered every question I had.
All right.
I'll tell you, we are offering a Christmas special right now. It's a month of training, a uniform, and a private lesson for $49. So if anybody wants to just check out, it's a month of training at the end of our program. So it's like a buffet. You pick what you want to check out for that month and see what it's all about, and then see if it's something for you.
Yeah, because some people may be drawn towards one than the other. They try jiu-jitsu and they try Krav Maga or the martial arts, or then they find something that works, or the Tai Chi,
Right.
anything, right? And then you can kind of stick with one that works for you.
Yeah, we pretty
Sure.
much have something for everybody.
All right, cool. So I think I have the number. It's 281-332-5425. That's the League City location. At Al Garza Premier Martial Arts LC. I know there's social media handles for the Dickinson and the Pearland.
Correct.
Check them out. There's a spot that's good for you, and you can learn more. Give them a call. It's KHEA Radio 99.5 FM. Thank you all for hanging out
you.
today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Fun.
Bye, Facebook.